South Australia is famous for 5 things. White sandy beaches, some pretty gnarly limestone cliffs, King George whiting, maybe a kingfish, and not changing your board shorts for about a week. So, as one of the captain's cameramen, I get asked all the time, what is your favourite boat? I've been lucky enough to go on plenty of boats, but some of my absolute favourites include the White Pointer 243. That thing is probably one of the softest riding boats in the Southern Ocean. The White Pointer 5-metre Super Hornet is also up there. That thing is a little pocket rocket. It fangs. The Carbine 533 centre console, it's got great pedigree and it's just a great functional fishing platform. It's got a great casting deck, great storage, helm seat, and 2 live bait tanks at the rear. It's got the lot. But if I was to own a boat myself, it's hard to go past the Stabicraft 1450 Explorer. I've probably been on more of these little babies than any other Stabicraft, and dare I say, any other boat. These things just scream adventure. One look at her and I want to hitch her up and head down a dirt road to the coast. When we saw this 1450 sitting out the front of Sapphire Marine, that's exactly what we did. Located in Eden on the south coast of New South Wales, Sapphire Marine stock Honda outboards and GFAB trailers. Ben and the crew at Sapphire Marine did a pretty sweet job of rigging this thing up. It's got everything you'd need for a trip like this, and I think we used every single inch of this boat and trailer. So, what's she packing? At the rear here, we have a Honda BF40. She comes in at around 100 kilos, and it's a Honda, so you know it's a good thing. She's got a 7-inch Simrad NSS Evo 3. I love a 7-inch. I wish I had one. I've got a bit of a love-hate relationship with trolling motors, but this Minn Kota up the front, it's a good thing. She's got 2 batteries down the back and 1 lithium battery under the casting deck for that Minn Kota. A wicked touring rig deserves a wicked destination. Say hello to Fowlers Bay. Fowlers Bay lies about 400 miles northwest of Adelaide in South Australia. It's the gateway to the Great Nullarbor. The coastline here is lined by these dramatic limestone headlands and sandy bays, and it's fringed by these giant sand dunes. As good as the scenery is, Fowlers Bay has no power and no water, so if you come here, you're really roughing it. And at the 2016 census, Fowlers Bay had a population of 51. And I think we just saw 10% of them drive past in the one car. It was once a thriving port and a gateway to the west. Its industry was whaling, but those days are long gone. The sand dunes here have swallowed the old whaling station, as well as a few of the streets in the town. The sand here is slowly migrating north at a rate of about 75 metres every 10 years. So South Australia is famous for its King George whiting, and lucky for us, just outside our campsite here, there's a bit of reef that protects the bay, and that reef is teeming with those little suckers. As a Queenslander, I've always heard these southerners talk about how good these little King George whiting are. It wasn't until this trip when I caught some and then ate some that I finally understood what they were all talking about. And once you're here, they're pretty easy to catch, but when you take into consideration the 4,000 kilometre round trip journey that it takes, it becomes a bit questionable. Side note, when cooking up this whiting, we used a recipe we borrowed from our friends Beck and Ben up in Cooktown. This is not a cooking show, but this wrap was pretty specky. It had red onion, mango, cucumber, coriander, fresh fish, everything you could possibly want. Boys were loving life. In between catching whiting here in Fowlers Bay, it produces some massive squid. We ate them, we used them for bait, we used them for socks, but the big surprise of this trip came when young Cooper, one of the lads who was on this trip, caught his PB kingfish. He hooked it just on top of a bommy and landed it in about 2 metres of water on a sluggo. I think Cooper will remember Fowlers Bay and this trip for a lifetime because of that fish. So, what do we love about this little 1450 Stabicraft? Something we absolutely love is the size. Good things don't always come in big packages. Look, I've been trying to tell people this for years now, but this Stabie just proves it. It really is a 4.5 meter ticket to adventure. It's small enough to handle on your own, but big enough to take 3 to 4 people fishing without an issue at all. In fact, we had 4 guys casting at Kingies, plus 2 cray pots on board, in some pretty decent swell. It really does have that sturdy big boat feel in a tiny package. Another thing we love is the safety and stability, but you already knew I was gonna say that. This is the thing that's gonna get it over the line with the missus when you're trying to buy one. It's built with foam-filled buoyancy chambers, so if this thing flips over, you know it's gonna stay afloat. The construction of this thing is solid as. The folds in the aluminium give it so much strength. The stability of this thing at rest is pretty unbelievable. We were out in some pretty sloppy 2 meter seas deploying these cray pots, and not once did I feel like I was gonna be thrown overboard. Did I mention crayfish? South Australia. If we were in any other 4.5 meter boat, we would have turned around and beelined it for the ramp. The versatility of this thing is second to none. We could be in 2 meters of water chasing whiting, or in 20 meters of water dropping cray pots. The other thing I love about this boat is when she's not on the water, she just acts as the perfect adventure trailer. You can load so much shit in here. On this trip, we traveled nearly halfway across the country, so we had to pack a lot of gear. In her now, we've got about 2 cray pots, dive gear, tents, swags, fuel tanks, tables, fishing rods. The list seriously goes on, but this thing is perfect for it. The other thing I love about this boat is the accessibility. You can step on from the back, walk around the entire boat along the gunnels. Name another 4.5 meter boat you can walk along the gunnels. I don't think you can. And everything that you store away in this thing is also extremely accessible. Up under the casting deck is great storage, and in the gunnels as well. The handrails, the cleats, everything is exactly where you need them. This boat really is an ergonomic masterclass. But I think the thing I love about this boat the most, and definitely came in clutch on this trip, was the trailer. Anyone who's done a trip like this knows that the first thing to fuck up is the trailer. So we did not stuff around when it came to picking one. This G-Fab here goes as good as it looks. Compared to other trailers we saw here in Fowlers Bay, this thing dominated on nearly every front. It's got an aluminium construction, saving you about 15 to 20% in weight compared to a galvanized trailer, meaning you can load the shit out of the boat and you still wouldn't get near the GVM of 1750. When G-Fab builds a trailer, they insist on taking the boat and building the trailer around it, which makes these trailers one piece of exceptional engineering. If I was being hypercritical, I probably would change the round guards. I mean, that's a one-way ticket to Slitville. But I do like the steps, especially with the low sides on this boat. After seeing the fuck-ups on the other boys' trailers on this trip, it just goes to show that a good trailer is seriously worth the money. What are some things we would maybe change? The deck on this thing is permanently wet. The water comes in through the scuppers and the low transom at the back. It isn't much water, but it doesn't drain off until you're back up on the plane. Maybe if this thing had a sump at the back to catch the water and then bilge it out, we'd be sweet. Or just improve that scupper system, please. So another thing, while the casting deck is nice to have, it just feels a little bit small and a bit dicky. It'd be awesome if maybe they put in a leaning post in those 0-degree rod holders, just to have something to prop yourself up when it does get a bit rocky. Personally, I would love a drop-in casting deck that I could then slide my gear underneath. The big question, who is this boat going to suit? Well, it's going to suit everyone. It's going to suit anyone from the young lads who want to flick plastics out in the bay, all the way up to the old crayfisherman who wants a tender for his bigger boat. We actually know some people who own these as second boats to their biggest Stabie and end up using this way more. So you're probably wondering how much this thing will set you back. To pick up this thing here, with all the fruit, you're looking at a little bit under 50 grand. South Australia, you've been good to us. We're gonna take away so much. particularly the sand. That shit is everywhere. It's in our swag, it's in the cruiser. Sorry, Ben, it's all over the boat. Luckily, it's a self-draining deck.